Hello, everyone. Sorry for inconvenience, but we've had some technical difficulties. Uh, it's 10 minutes late, but we'll start now. Good evening, good morning, and welcome, everyone. My name is Jinju Lee. I'm a senior commercial specialist covering the bio and healthcare sectors at CS Korea. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on winning Korean bio-healthcare partnerships. It's my pleasure to serve as both the moderator and one of the speakers for today's webinar. At the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session, and we have already received many great questions in advance, and our speakers will address those pre-submitted questions during the Q&A session. If time permits, we'll also take additional questions, so please feel free to submit them on the chat function during the webinar. We'll follow up on them afterward. Now, I will hand it over to Haley Sund, who serves as Commercial Officer at Commercial Service based in Seoul, Korea. Haley?
Thank you, Jinju. Hello, everyone. My name is Haley Sund. I am a Commercial Officer at U.S. Embassy Seoul. It's a pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on winning Korean biotech and healthcare partnerships. We're grateful to have such a great group of speakers with us, and we appreciate all of you for joining today's session. Korea has rapidly emerged as a dynamic and fast-growing hub in the global biotech and healthcare industries. With its strong R&D capabilities, advanced healthcare infrastructure, and increasing global collaboration, Korea presents significant opportunities for U.S. companies looking to export innovative products and technologies. At the same time, Korean biotech and healthcare companies are actively expanding into the United States, contributing to investment and job creation. Successfully engaging in this two-way exchange requires not only an understanding of market trends, but also a clear grasp of local business practices and expectations. Over the course of today's session, we will explore key trends and opportunities in Korea's biotech and healthcare markets, with a focus on how U.S. companies can successfully enter and grow their exports. We will also discuss Korean business culture and highlight effective strategies for identifying and engaging the right partners through conferences, trade shows, and partnering platforms. As we have seen in recent years, global healthcare challenges continue to reinforce the importance of cross-border collaboration. Innovation in biotech and healthcare is no longer confined within national boundaries, and the exchange of technology, investment, and expertise between the United States and Korea is becoming increasingly important. Whether you are looking to export to Korea or to identify and partner with Korean companies for collaboration in the United States, we hope today's webinar will provide you with practical knowledge, meaningful connections, and actionable strategies. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to a productive and engaging session.
Thank you, Haley. Now, I'm delighted to introduce Ms. Suran Lee, Project Director at Intralink, a healthcare consulting firm that has supported global bio and healthcare companies in entering and expanding in the Korean market. She'll be sharing several case studies.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Suran Lee from Incheon, Korea. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the U.S. Commercial Service for the kind invitation. Today, I'm excited to share some key insights on how to effectively partner with Korean firms. Let me share my screen if that's okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So to begin with my introduction, I'm the project director leading the MedTech and Life Sciences team at Incheon in Korea, where I have supported foreign companies in achieving successful business outcomes in the Korean market. I have over 16 years of work experience in nursing, as well as in sales and marketing within the healthcare industry. So now I'm going to talk about an overview of Intralink, followed by market entry considerations and case studies. So Intralink is a UK-headquartered business development consulting firm founded in 1990 in Oxford. We specialize in cross-border business development, investment attraction, and trade promotion with over 180 multilingual consultants across 27 global locations. So far, we have generated $20 billion in revenues and investments for more than 2,000 clients. Established in 2008, Intralink Korea office has a team of 23 people with 4 dedicated MedTech and Life Sciences professionals. Our business spans three main areas, as you can see here. We support foreign direct investment, business expansion across countries, and open innovation, as well as tech scouting. In the medtech and life sciences sector, we support large corporations in identifying innovative technologies and co-development or investment opportunities, while also supporting companies in expanding their business internationally across diverse sectors. Our standard approach usually kicks off with a 3 months deep dive where we focus on assessing and identifying the best opportunities in target markets. In the second phase, we implement strategies and sales activities based on the initial assessment to secure revenues for our clients. Once the business has matured, we support our clients in phasing out by helping establish a local office or recruit local staff. So moving forward, I would like to highlight some essential considerations for market entry. To successfully enter the Korean market, it's vital to address the three core regulatory requirements. This is first, on the clinical trials, you need to assess whether additional clinical or bridging studies are required and map out the associated timelines and costs. Second, you need to clarify the regulatory roadmap and partnership structure. This includes reviewing approval requirements and defining who owns the clinical investment and who drives the marketing efforts. Establishing timelines and product launch plan must be taken into account during this stage. Finally, reimbursement must be taken into consideration. Since Korea operates under a national health insurance model, your pricing strategy will be heavily influenced by existing benchmarks for similar products. So I would like to suggest viewing these three aspects not as just individual steps, but as an integrated strategy to consider before planning your market entry. Moving on, I've summarized some most frequent inquiries from Korean companies. In my experience, preparing your responses on the following areas will strengthen your credibility. First, Korean companies place a strong value on proven track record. They will often ask about your global footprint, especially which multinational corporations or regulatory bodies you've worked with. They see your past success as a de-risking factor. Second, expect a request for flexibility. Local business culture often values partners who can adapt, whether by adjusting MOQs, negotiating prices, or tailoring service scopes. Even small concessions are seen as a sign of long-term commitment to the partnership. Additionally, as you may know, quality assurance and accreditation are crucial in this industry. If you have manufacturing facilities, expect questions regarding due diligence by which regulatory bodies. Specifications are also one of the frequently asked questions for both products and services. They will want to see everything from product specifications, clinical data, equipment lists, and batch capacities. Next, timeline management is critical and often where misalignment occurs. Since Korean companies typically operate on tight schedules, I recommend being transparent about your lead times early on to avoid any conflicts with their internal milestones. Lastly, I believe price is often the most decisive factor. It is standard practice for Korean firms to evaluate at least 3 different candidates. If you are positioned at a premium price point, it's essential to provide your counterparts with clear, unique selling points to help them justify the higher investment to their upper management. So by actively addressing these 6 pillars, you can position your organization as a strategic partner ready for the Korean market. Now, let's dive into the case studies from recent projects I've been working on. For each, I'll highlight the key challenges we encountered and how we addressed them. The first case study features a CDMO specializing in ADC, HPAPI, and hazardous chemicals. We have been supporting this client since 2023, aiming to identify, engage with pharmaceutical and biotech companies developing novel drugs. When introducing this company to the Korean market, we faced three key challenges: limited brand awareness, local track record, weak price competitiveness, and no drug product capabilities, which is important as Korean companies strongly prefer one-stop services. To overcome these challenges, we implemented the following strategies. We prioritized niche markets. We targeted segments where the client has a strong expertise and where competition was relatively low, allowing us to secure competitive advantages. In addition, we leveraged the Biosecure Act by positioning the client as a preferred alternative to Chinese CDMOs. We also increased market visibility by actively participating in major industry conferences, as you can see here. Lastly, we took a consultative approach, positioning ourselves not just as a service provider, but as a long-term partner, always available for scientific discussions and project consultations, even without a service agreement. As a result, we have secured 2 ADC programs and signed an MOU with a Korean biotech company. The second case study involves a company providing AI-driven software and services for drug development. We have been working with this client since early 2025, aiming to identify pharmaceutical and biotech firms seeking to integrate AI-driven drug development solutions to their R&D. So similar to the first case, the main challenges include limited brand awareness and local track record, despite having a local distributor. Also, limited understanding of MIDD within the Korean market was one of the challenges when promoting their services. So to overcome these challenges and win business, we had adopted strategic approach by attending major industry conferences and hosting an exclusive workshop to strengthen engagement with Korean companies. Additionally, we have built strategic alliances with key industry associations and academia to secure long-term collaboration opportunities. With the growing use of modeling tools, we saw the MFDS begin paying attention to MIDD. To support this, we provided a training session to enhance their understanding of the technology and tools. Up to now, we have closed multiple software license and service deals. We have also been supporting a research and GMP-grade animal-derived biomaterial manufacturer since 2024, focusing on identifying and engaging with medical devices and biotech companies. Because the market had limited familiarity with this biomaterial as a medical device ingredient, we spent considerable time educating prospects on its applications. To accelerate discussions, we introduced a joint development model involving prototypes or semi-finished products to demonstrate feasibility and strengthen interest. We also faced regulatory challenges as Korea lacked guidelines specific to this biomaterial-based medical devices. To address this, we developed a comprehensive regulatory strategies from creating internal protocols for customs clearance and inspection to identifying required MFDS certifications and documentation. At the same time, we continued participating in key industry conferences to explore potential collaboration opportunities. These efforts resulted in multiple supply agreements and a distribution agreement. As a final point, I would like to emphasize that all the success stories I mentioned earlier were made possible through the collective efforts and close collaboration between our clients and IntraLink. So to conclude, here are several important take-home messages. So first, understanding the local regulations and reimbursement pathway is critical. Alignment with Korean government biohealth initiatives is highly beneficial. Major industry exhibitions and conferences are effective venues for identifying potential collaboration opportunities with Korean prospects. Also, keep in mind that Korean companies, especially larger corporations, often require sufficient time for internal review and to build trust. A strong and proven track record significantly enhances credibility. Also, as mentioned earlier, flexibility during discussions is highly valued by Korean firms. High responsiveness is important as most Korean companies work on tight schedules and value quick replies. Last but not least, it's important to find the right partner who is trustworthy and works closely with your company. That concludes today's presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or have a plan to visit Korea, please feel free to contact me. My personal information is here. I would happy to answer any questions during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Suran, for sharing such great case studies. They were really helpful. Now it's my turn to inform you about how the Korean government can support your growth. Hyeon, can I share my screen? Hyeon 선생님,
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
I'll share my screen.
Okay. Alrighty.
Can everyone see it?
Yes.
That's great. Okay, let me start. Okay. Let me begin by introducing our organization first. The International Trade Administration is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce and supports U.S. companies in expanding into global markets. We have a global network of trade professionals across the United States and in the U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide, which allows us to provide on-the-ground support in the key global markets. Our services focus on four main areas: expert counseling, market intelligence, business matchmaking, and commercial diplomacy. In short, we help you reduce risks, identify the right opportunities, and successfully enter and grow in the international markets. And we provide a range of fee-based services designed to support your market entry and business development. This is an overview of our service offerings, and I will share more detailed information later in the presentation, particularly on services that can help assess market potential and identify suitable partners. Now, let's walk through how to do business in Korea. First, you should begin by understanding the Korean market. Before making any decisions, it's critical to assess the market potential and overall commercial viability. Many US bio and healthcare companies make the mistake of applying their experiences from the US or other global markets directly to Korea. However, Korea is not only highly advanced, but also unique. It is a fundamentally different operating environment. In particular, you need to understand both the regulatory environment and the reimbursement system, as these will ultimately determine whether your product can succeed commercially in the market. For example, the US classifies medical devices into 3 classes, while Korea uses a 4-class system, further subdividing higher risk devices. In addition, even if a device is approved by the FDA or has CE marking, it still requires a separate approval process in Korea. Korea also operates under a single-payer national health insurance system, which means pricing and reimbursement play a central role. As a result, your typical approach to evaluating profitability may need to be adjusted as there is effectively no standalone private insurance market. Approval does not equal access, and access does not guarantee success. While we provide a certain level of market intelligence to help navigate these dynamics, there are areas that still require more specialized or in-depth analysis. In such cases, we can also provide information about trusted external consulting firms that offer various services. Second, you should focus on defining and validating your market entry strategy. Rather than trying to build a perfect strategy from the beginning, it is more effective to start with a set of informed hypotheses and refine them over time. At this stage, identifying the right local partner becomes especially important. In Korea, a locally registered entity must act as the importing license holder, and in many cases, your distributor will take on this role. This makes partner selection not just a commercial decision, but also a regulatory one. Engagement with government agencies in Korea is generally limited and structured as lobbying is illegal. It's uncommon for government agencies to meet individually with companies. Access is usually provided through formal channels such as associations or official programs, so building the right network is essential. Additionally, Korea is a relatively small market, which has important strategic implications. Business culture tends to favor exclusive partnerships, and working with multiple partners in one small market often leads to inefficiencies and conflict. For this reason, we generally recommend working with a single, well-aligned partner who can fully commit to your long-term success. And third, you should move on to executing, testing, and gathering market feedback. This is often the most critical phase of the process. You can begin by reaching out to potential partners and engaging with key stakeholders in the market. However, it is important to set the right expectations. Responses from Korean companies may be limited at this early stage, which is quite common. Cold outreach is generally less effective in Korea as many companies are hesitant to engage without prior awareness or a clearly defined opportunity. In many cases, companies respond only when they see immediate and tangible potential for collaboration. After this initial outreach, it becomes important to actively participate in conferences, industry events, and partnering platforms. These channels are far more effective in building trust, expanding your network, and increasing visibility in the market. More importantly, these interactions provide you with valuable real-world feedback, such as insights into unmet needs, pricing expectations, competitive positioning, and preferred partnership models. This step is essential in understanding how the market truly responds to your offerings. And finally, you should continuously refine and optimize your strategy based on what you learn. The feedback you gather will help you validate or challenge your initial assumptions, allowing you to adjust your entry model, commercialization approach, and overall strategy to better align with the market realities. This should be viewed as an ongoing process, as insights gained during execution often require revisiting and refining earlier decisions. Ultimately, success in Korea is not about getting it right the first time. It is about learning quickly and adapting effectively. In summary, entering the Korean healthcare market requires not only careful planning, but also continuous learning and flexibility. By validating assumptions and staying adaptable, companies can significantly improve their chances of success in this dynamic and competitive market. As highlighted in one of Sudan's case studies, a foreign CDMO company was able to secure clients in Korea by identifying unmet niche demand. Korea has strong CDMO players such as Samsung Biologics and Celltrion, making it difficult to compete in large-scale manufacturing where domestic players already dominate. To succeed, Foreign companies must focus on identifying and addressing specific niche market needs rather than competing broadly on scale. In short, success in Korea depends on sharp differentiation and highly focused strategy. Now, I'd like to briefly highlight 3 services that can support you as you develop your market entry strategy. First, the initial market check. This helps you assess market potential by reaching out to 5 industry contacts. Second, the international company profile. This provides background checks on potential partners, helping you evaluate their reliability and suitability. Third, single company promotion. This supports your market entry and building networks by organizing targeted events to increase your brand awareness. These services are designed to help you reduce risk, validate your strategy, enter new markets more effectively. If you're interested in leveraging these services for global markets, I encourage you to reach out to your local office and speak with a trade specialist there. They can guide you on how to best utilize these programs based on your specific goals and targeted markets. Here I'm sharing some examples of major expos and conferences in Korea that you may want to consider. KIMAS is the largest medical device and hospital equipment exhibition in Korea, which attracts the greatest number of attendees among healthcare-related trade shows in Korea, but it does not offer any partnering platform. Korea Farm and Bio and CPHI Korea focus on pharmaceuticals and bio supply chain, including ingredients manufacturing and partnerships. Bio Korea and BioPlus Intervex Korea are more business partnering oriented events emphasizing global collaboration, investment, and biotech innovation. Whereas Global Bio Conference focuses on regulatory policy, guidelines, and international cooperation rather than partnering. Korean Hospital Fair is tailored to hospital administrators and physician education. Korea Life Science Week provides a broader platform combining conferences and exhibitions across the life science ecosystem. Many of these events offer formal partnering platform or some forms of buyer meetings, so it is important to take full advantage of these opportunities. In addition, it is essential to proactively identify potential partners by engaging with exhibitors on the show floor and gather market insights. Depending on your specific products and services, it will also be important to identify and participate in more specialized academic congresses or industry-focused events that are closely aligned with your target market. If helpful, I'd be happy to provide more tailored recommendation based on your area of interest and share additional details later upon your request. And the next is international trade shows. Here are some examples of major international expos and conferences that are widely attended by Korean companies. Korea Bio is very actively involved in events such as JP Morgan Healthcare Conference and the Bio International Convention. They usually host networking events and operate booth exhibitions for Korean biotech companies. Interestingly, these global events can sometimes be among the best opportunities to connect with key Korean industry leaders. For this reason, I strongly encourage you to stay connected with Korea Bio to get further information. And in the next slide, I will share examples of events that we have organized as part of our services. We have successfully executed booth exhibitions at a wide range of expos and conferences. We have also organized various seminars, sometimes independently and at other times in collaboration with industry associations and organizations. For example, at the upcoming BioPlus Intervex Korea 2026 in October, I'm helping to organize several panel discussion sessions in partnership with Korea Bio. We always welcome new speakers and topic suggestions. So please let me know if you have any ideas. And finally, receptions. If you have any ideas on new events, please feel free to share them with us. We will be happy to work together. And this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions about the global markets, including Korea, and would like to utilize commercial services programs, please contact your local trade specialist in your area first. Your local contact will help you identify the right person to work with and provide counseling. If you do not know who your local trade specialist is, I will help you connect them with you. Here's my contact information, so please feel free to contact me anytime. And now we'll move on to a Q&A session. We have received a lot of great questions in advance, and I'd like to invite Ms. Eo Song, Team Leader of International Affairs Team at Korea Bio.
Hello, do you see me? This is Eo from Korea Bio. Hi, yes, we have questions, right? So about tariff discussion, actually, like everybody's confused now. And we are seeing many global healthcare companies that are becoming more cautious about the situation, and they are making more phased approach about the situation. And some of them delay product launches due to potential cost implications and market uncertainties. And also this can result some how can I say, change in partnership decisions, especially companies may think about the more on flexibility and risk sharing factors when looking for local partners. And one thing I would like to emphasize, and while this ongoing tariff discussion happening in Korean companies, earlier they had a very heavy reliance on US market, and now they are a little bit moving beyond to pursue broader market diversification. And the second one about trend and market partnership opportunities, yes, there are some similarities, but thing is, there's a huge difference in how can I say, between the biotech and medical device and health tech, I believe. And I think it is similar in US market too. So medical devices and healthcare, health tech, they are or on commercialization focused, and also in short timelines. And when you see the biotech partnership contrast, and they are longer term and also R&D and more on science focused. So the trend can be similar, but about the structure and objectives can be significantly different. And about clusters, yes, bioscience and healthcare hubs. Clusters in Korea are earlier they were providing space, but now they're moving beyond to enable more marketable research outputs from the small companies. And there are different clusters, and there are many across the country. There are many clusters across the country. And if you are looking for the innovation and innovative companies or innovative environment, you can look into the cases. So places like Seoul National University Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, we call the Center for E&I, and also KIST, Korea Institute of Social Science and Technology. These clusters, they have very good academic environment, so they have very strong point in sharing talent. So in terms of talent circulation, talent mobility, and they because they provide how can I say, in and outflow, very flexible in and outflow between academia and research and industry. So this is a strong point of these two cases. And also when you see some clusters like IFES, Incheon Free Trade Zone, and where it is also, it is located in Songdo, and there are many large players like Samsung Biologics and Celltrion, and the whole environment actually leverage these large players as manufacturing and scaling up startup support. So startups contribute innovation and pipeline generation, and also big pharmas, they come into the scene for contributing partnerships and market access. So we can call it anchor-driven ecosystem. And when you see cases like Gyeonggi Startup Campus, which is most of international companies, they find very interesting as soft landing spots, and they are more focused on accelerating the technology to business transition. So there are many different cases, and also in terms of the convergence, I think it is similar with U.S. market, and one of the oldest movements now is convergence with data and AI, as we all witness, and smart manufacturing and the expansion of MPE, material parts and equipment. And partnership with U.S. markets, we do have many inbound and outbound university and hospital visits. And Korea Bio invites quite a lot of renowned speakers from these research institute, universities, and hospitals from US, and especially to our event called it BIX, Bio Plus Interfex. And often these opportunities link to further partnerships between universities, between hospitals, and between research institutes, and including us. And so we have organized various events like networking events and startup pitching events with universities like MIT, Johns Hopkins, and Rutgers. And also last time, 2 years ago, there was a Bio International Convention in San Diego, and Jinju in UCS Korea and us, we organized a tour program to UCSD, University of California, San Diego, so that we could bring Korean companies to these campus, and then had interactions with campus-based companies and also faculties and students there. Yep. And the last one about the investors. About the contracting and negotiation, I have very little knowledge and experience to talk about, but about relationship building, I believe JPM can be very useful for you. You don't have to travel a lot, but still, like, you have all the most major Korean VCs there. They attend every year to JPM, and this will be very useful for initial screening and partnering. And also, we, as Korea Bio, organizes a pitching event there called the Global IR at JPM. And we have Korean and non-Korean companies pitching, Korean and non-Korean investors give the feedback. So that can be also useful for you to start pitching, or just attend as a participant, and you have networking break for that. And also, most of big houses in Korea, they already opened their offices in the US, like New York and the Bay Area. So, and they are already carefully reviewing US companies, so for investment purpose. So that'd be also helpful. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the crowd? If your mic has been unmuted, if you have any verbal questions, please go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll call you. Mr. Abdel Vahed, please go ahead and ask your questions. Unmute your mic, please.
So first of all, thank you for the great presentation. I have a couple of questions. One, the process of partnering with the Korean companies. Now, do we have to follow or to be specific with Intralink, or we are free to identify partners in Korea based on research or conference attendance? And then the second questions is in terms of payments and processing for payments for international companies. How does that work with the Korean laws and regulations? The last question is, I'm specifically in the clinical research, clinical development area, and I want to know the opportunities available on the market to partner with the Korean companies. Thank you.
Is there anyone who can answer this? Intralink, Korea Bio? Excuse me? Korea Bio, Suran, 이 선생님?
I think
Suran.
Suran can answer those questions and yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think payment and processing, I guess this is, if I understood correctly, this is about like consulting services, or I'm not sure about that, but about regulations. I think Korean regulations are highly aligned with global regulations, but then we have a little bit different. Like to some extent, we have some like little different regulations, or like some items in the like guidelines, so that we on the website of the MFDS, you can find the English guidelines. So it's better to check those guidelines before planning your market entry. I think I can answer your questions about regulations in that way. Korean law, I'm not really familiar about law, so I guess if someone answer the questions, it'd be very helpful. And if I remember correctly, you mentioned about clinical development. If you could clarify your questions, what is clinical development into to what aspect, then I can answer your questions more specifically.
Sites and pharmaceutical company.
Oh, pharmaceutical company. Okay.
Yeah, clinical development.
Okay. And do you want to explore your product, like finished product, or do you want to collaborate with Korean companies?
Service. Usually, when there's a clinical trial, someone is handling the logistics at the site, and then if the site have issues, it has different levels. But if the site also wants to get involved, they have no experience, they want to connect with the companies, the pharmaceutical companies, then site management organization can fit in as well.
So if you want to export your finished product, you need to find the marketing authorization holder in Korea who can take care of registration and marketing in the Korean market. So they can take care of everything, logistics and so on, within the Korean market. So that I think that's the number one thing you need to do. But if you during the process, if the MFDS requires additional clinical trials or bridging studies, sometimes they may require, in case you don't have any clinical data about like Asian populations, or sometimes they ask for clinical data for Korean populations as well. So in that case, you need to also discuss with your local partner who will drive this clinical investment, or who will take care of this clinical trial, additional clinical trial in the Korean market. I think that's the best way to move forward to register your product. I hope this helps.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to pre-submitted questions. I had some technical difficulties, but let's get back to Intralinks part. Sudan, can you take it over?
Yes. So for the first and second question, I believe it's important to assess distributors' qualifications in the initial stage beyond the revenue, number of employees, and years of experience. I recommend asking some questions like which sectors are they currently focusing on and who are their current partners, where does their revenue come from, which area, so what does their customer base or network look like, how many internal salespeople do they have. I think this is really important. Sometimes they have, let's say they have like 60 employees, but they only have like 10 salespeople, or some companies have like just 5 employees, but they are all salespeople. So every company has different structure. So I think this is a valuable question you need to ask. And how many sub-distributors do they work with? Many distributors have their own sub-distributors because they kind of cover the whole nation. So they may have 1 or 2 sub-dealers or maybe more than 10 sub-dealers. I think this is their network within the nation. So this is an important question to ask. And also one of the questions could be useful is, do they have internal technical specialists or RA specialists who can handle product restorations or troubleshooting, so after sales service? So that's also important aspect to assess their qualifications, and which conferences or exhibitions do they regularly attend. These could be some questions to assess their qualifications. And for the third question, what's your sense of how hands-on Korean distributors typically are with MFDS registration? I would say almost every distributor can take care of MFDS registration. So in my experience, almost every distributor I have met with has RA specialist in-house, so that person can take care of product approval from the beginning. But in the process, as mentioned earlier, let's say if you have a product, like let's say medical device class 3 or above, then it requires considerable time to obtain product approval, and sometimes the MFDS requires additional clinical trial or clinical data. Then it requires initial investment, upfront investment. So in that case, some distributors may ask for the cost sharing for this initial investment, or for the cost sharing for marketing activities. So this could be considered in the first place. And typical time period for a company to obtain Korean approval, this really depends on your product. So as mentioned, class 3 and above medical device, then it takes 1.5 to 2 years, depending on your product and complexity of your product, and if that requires additional clinical trial. It really depends on your product and your readiness of documentation. But then for class 1 and 2, it takes maybe less than 1 year. So it really depends on the complexity of your product. For pharmaceutical products as well, it depends on your whether this is a small molecule based or biologics, and the complexity, whether this is new. So it really covers like different aspects of your product. So, but basically, if that's not complicated, your product is not complicated, then it takes less than 1 year. But if that's complicated and has high risk for this entire environment and the society, then it takes more than 1 year or maybe 2 years, even though you have FDA and CE mark. And what else? And for the last question, I think the Korean regulatory I mentioned earlier, so I will skip this question. And last question in the healthcare sector, what is private pay and versus insurance? So public and private hospitals both operate under a national health insurance. So their costs may differ slightly, but not significantly. So you can just think this is almost the same. So as the national health insurance system does not cover all services, some people hold private insurance to reimburse non-covered healthcare services and consumables. But our national health insurance system is quite strong, and that insurance covers, in most cases, 80% of the expenditures. So it's pretty strong. So that's why in my presentation I mentioned if you are about to set up your pricing strategy for this market, you need to look up the your benchmark products, so that for example, the price of your benchmark product and whether your product and your benchmark product have common clinical efficacy, or almost if these two products are almost the same or similar, then you can leverage this benchmark product to prove your products are also relevant to the environment and to the market, and this is safe and clinically efficient. So in this way, you can see how much price you can set up for this market. So I guess I answered all the questions. I hope this helps.
Great, thank you. Okay, the last part. It's my turn. Okay, let's go with the first question. Are there any unique tax implications for Korean companies or investors divesting or out-licensing assets to a foreign buyer, which Korean law firms specialize in biotech IP licensing deals? Well, the specifics are highly case-dependent, and companies typically work closely with legal and tax advisors to navigate these issues. So I'll be happy to provide a list of reputable Korean law firms that specialize in biotech transactions, including IP licensing and cross-border deals upon request. So you can send me a separate email if you're interested. The next one, any bio-related Korean company needs CGMP or GMP facility? Companies and manufacturing facilities targeting the US market must comply with CGMP standards, while KGMP serves as the equivalent standard for the domestic Korean markets. So the strongest demand for CGMP compliance comes from large Korean CDMOs serving global clients such as Samsung Biologics, Celltrion, and Lotte Biologics. While many Korean pharmaceutical companies do not hold CGMP certification, there is a growing interest as more companies look to expand into the US market. Reflecting this trend, CS Korea collaborate with BioKorea 2025 to organize a seminar on CGMP. And the next question, how to search a reputable distributor there that would be a good fit for our consumable specialized membrane used for radiopharmaceutical quality control. And this one is similar to the next one, recommendation for partnering in interventional oncology. So I'll answer these all together. For identifying a reputable distributor in a specialized field like this, one effective approach is to leverage academic congresses. For radiopharmaceuticals, one effective, there are several academic congresses such as Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging and Korean Society of Nuclear Medicine. They will be great opportunities to engage directly with the end users and potential partners, even key opinion leaders in radiopharmaceuticals. For interventional oncology, engaging with Korean Society of Interventional Radiology and even American Society of Clinical Oncology can help establish the relationship with key clients and potential partners in Korea. So Korean companies and medical doctors are actively participating in American and international academic societies. So if you have to choose one, you may need to focus on the American academic congresses as well. And the next question, I would like to learn about the dermacosmetics and supplements industry in Korea. Well, CS Korea has published market reports on cosmetics and health functional foods, so I'll be happy to share them afterwards. So please send me an email so that I can share the reports and introduce commercial specialists covering the cosmetics industry. The next one, health IT apps for cross-border access to care between Korea and US with or without insurance. Cross-border health IT solutions such as remote diagnosis or treatment are highly restricted under the Korean regulations. In particular, Korea does not generally permit direct telemedicine services between physicians and patients, especially in cross-border settings, which limits the ability to provide clinical care from abroad through digital platforms. So this is not a viable business model for the Korean market. The next one. How do Korean companies typically adapt their solutions to fit the operational and workflow requirements of US healthcare organizations, particularly when working with local distributor partners? Okay. Korean companies typically adapt their solutions by redesigning and localizing their products to align with US clinical workflow, regulatory frameworks, and reimbursement structures. In many cases, they actually develop products and services tailored to the US market from the outset. So it's not a big problem. And I have an example of Korean company, Lunit. It's a AI-based imaging company. It has adapted the solution for the US market by meeting regulatory standards and aligning with the clinical flow. The company has also collaborated with G Healthcare to integrate its AI solutions into G's imaging platform. So this may answer your questions. Okay. I guess we've reached the end of our session. So if you don't have additional question, I'll close the webinar, but just to make sure. On the chat function, we do not have more questions. So this will conclude our webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and sorry about the technical difficulties we had before. But after this webinar, we'll edit our video recording and send it to the registrants. Korea Bio may not share their part of the presentation, but with Suran and my presentation, you will still learn a lot. So please stay tuned. And if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Okay, thank you very much.